This question gives us this function. They want to know the absolute max and the min. So we know what we need to do. We got to take the derivative, and that's unfortunate because we need to do the quotient rule, right? It's a quotient. So, okay, that's kind of challenging. Remember the quotient rule. Basically, it says they take turns, like the product rule. This one goes first. The derivative of x is just 1. We know that. Times the bottom unchanged. Minus, the quotient rule is a minus instead of a plus. The top unchanged times derivative of the bottom, which will just be 2x minus 1 is the derivative of the bottom, right? Because you take that function and you take its derivative there. I wonder if that's making sense for you. I took the derivative there, right? So that 2 comes down, 2x, and then this is just 1 because the 1 comes down and the 4 goes to 0, over the bottom squared. So you got to take the x squared minus x plus 4 squared. So does that make sense what I did? So again, the quotient rule is derivative of the top, they take turns, right? Times the bottom unchanged, minus instead of plus, product rule has plus, minus the top unchanged times derivative of the bottom over the bottom squared. And you want to set this equal to 0. Why? Because that's how you find, well, actually, you want the top and the bottom. Let me just say it that way. You want the top to be 0 separately and the denominator to be 0. The numerator and the denominator to be 0 separately. Why? Because that's how you find critical values. Critical values, critical values are found where the derivative is 0, and that's when the top is 0, is the derivative is 0, or if the derivative is infinity, undefined, or infinity. Either one will give you critical values. Right? Is that making sense? You good with fractions? Do you understand? Like if you have 0 on the top of a fraction, you know that's just 0, right? What if you have a 0 on the bottom of a fraction? That's infinity. Are you clear on that? Let's make sure we're clear what a fraction is. 6 over 3. We know the answer is 2. Why? Because the bottom goes into the top. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So that's what a fraction means, bottom into top. So 3 goes into 0 0 times when 0 is in the top. But 0 goes into 4, bottom into top, infinite times. 0 can go in and in and in and in. So you see 0 on the bottom is infinite. So when the denominator is 0, that's going to be infinity. When the top is 0, that's just going to be 0. Either way, it's critical values. We want them both. So I'm going to do them both. Let me do the denominator over here real quick. If you take this denominator and, oh, wait, no, we'll do that. We'll do that in a minute. How about I come over here and I'll do the top equal to 0 first. So let's start with the top. Top numerator equal to 0. Let's take this whole top here. So this will be x squared minus x plus 4. That 1 doesn't do anything. Then this minus x will multiply. Well, here, I'll write it slower. Here, I'll do the whole thing. Top equal to 0. There we go. Okay, then distribute. So we get x squared minus x plus 4. Then this will be minus 2x squared plus x equals 0. Did you see that? Minus x goes there and there. Okay, so that's x squared minus 2x squared is minus 1x squared. And then minus x and plus x cancel. Plus 4 is 0. That's nice. And then I'm just gonna jump this over here. So I get 4 is plus 1x squared. So that just means 4 is x squared. And then root it. Now don't forget, you got to put plus or minus, right? Whenever you put a roof on the house, up and down the ladder. X is plus or minus 2. So we got two answers out of that side. Okay, now the other side where the denominator, here, let me just draw a wall of separation here, where the denominator, the other side will do the denominator. So I'll take this denominator right here. I'll go x squared minus x plus 4 squared equals 0. First step, just get rid of that square by rooting it. So we get x squared minus x plus 4 squared of 0 is just 0. Now, how are we going to solve that? Well, probably, the quadratic formula. So I'm going to go to the quadratic formula. Remember the quadratic formula? I'm going to go negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so, okay. So what's a, b, and c? Well, a is 1, b is that minus 1, c is 4. So minus 1, right? Because it's negative in the formula, and b is negative. Plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Okay, so that, you can just go to Desmos on that. Oh, it's going to be undefined. Yeah, I'll go to Desmos. 1 plus or minus square root of negative 1 squared. Um, Fraction. 1 plus square root of negative 1 squared. Minus 4, 1, 4. Minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2a, 2 times 1. Just put 2 on the bottom. Undefined. Yeah, because you got negative in the root there. So you see how this inside part, this is going to be 1 minus 16. So that inside is negative 15. This inside is negative. Can't have square root of negative. That's imaginary. No real answers here. So only imaginary numbers there, no real answers. So the denominator equal to 0 led to nothing. So again, what have we done so far? Whenever you want to find the absolute max and the min, the first step is to find the critical values. You find the critical values by what makes the derivative 0 or infinity. So you take I'm sorry, the top 0 or the bottom 0 of the derivative. So you take the derivative, you got a top and a bottom, you set the top equal to 0 separately. I solved that, got plus or minus 2. Take the denominator equal to 0 separately, and I got no real answers. The quadratic formula told me undefined. So then my only answers are plus or minus 2. These are my critical values, plus and minus 2. Okay, so now you got to use that along with, let me go back up here. This is the left and this is the right of my interval, 0 and 6. So step 2 is you make a table. So step one, we found the critical values. And then step 2, you make a table. So let's do that. Okay, so you make a table. And in that table, you put the left edge, right edge, and any critical values. So what was my left edge? 0. My right edge was 6. I got a critical value of 2. Let's go double check. Right? Again, yeah, there it is. 0 and 6. We're going from 0 to 6. Okay. Well, if you're going from 0 to 6, the negative 2 is outside. The x equals negative, right? Because it's supposed to be plus or minus 2. X equals negative 2 is outside of the 0 to 6 range, isn't it? Right, we're only supposed to go from 0 to 6. So negative 2 is outside of that. They just said check between 0 and 6. So I throw out the negative 2. I'm only going to do the positive 2. Do it with what? With the function, meaning f of x equals, what was the original function again? It was that x, let me write it down, it's x over x squared minus x plus 4. So it's x over x squared minus x plus 4. So I'm going to plug each of these in. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to put a 0 in there, there, there. So let's plug into, let's go. I'm going to go to Desmos, do the fraction maker, and it's 0 over 0 squared minus 0 plus 4. Looks like a 0. So that's f is 0. Let's try the next one. Now I'm going to put in 6 everywhere we had 0. 6. 6, 6. We get 0.17647. 17647. Did I do that right? 17647? I don't know. That was all right. No, 0.1764. Let me just say it that way. 0.1764. Okay, and then the last one we're going to put in 2. Everywhere we get that 6. Put in 2. And we get 0.33333. Okay, so now just pick the max and the min. So what's the biggest one? This is the max, that's the highest number. And this is the min, 0 is the lowest. So it's 0 and 2 are the min and the max. So at 0 is the min, at 2 is the max. And so there we go. So what do? We take the derivative, set the top and the bottom equal to 0 to get the critical values, and then make a table with the left, the right, and any critical values that were within the range. We had to throw out the -2 because that's outside of the range of 0 to 6 that they asked us to look in. And so there we go.